Today, we're going to start off a new feature. It's going to be called Friday Finds. Have you ever wanted to find cool electronics, components for your projects, for your designs, for your product developments? Have it so that you can easily get the cool things that you really need and that you really want to build in to your projects? Well, this is the place to find them. Hey everybody, Dave Johns here with AggressiveFun. Today, we're going to go through several Friday Find goodies or cool electronic components and parts and systems. Things that you can build into your projects, you can build into your electronic designs, you can build into your product developments, and it makes it so that you can quickly accumulate what you really need when you need it. Now, maybe you won't have all of these things on hand, but I'm going to supply links down below where you can purchase your own when you need them, or if you want to grab them right now so that you have them on hand, that's awesome. So let's get started. This first one was really cool. When I saw this, it just jumped right out at me. I have some projects coming up where we're going to be using servos. And if you've built a useless box, or if you've done remote control airplanes or remote control cars, those kinds of things, you've already dealt with little servo motors. This one is one of the teeniest ones I've ever seen. And when I saw it, I just thought, wow, this is cool. I picked up this particular one off of Banggood, and for two of them, you get a pair of them for $21, $20.99. Now I'm gonna tell you prices and things when I know them on things that I've actually purchased. Obviously, it could change, so don't hold me to those prices. It just gives you an idea of what your rough cost will be if you go ahead and purchase them yourselves. What I have is two little controllers. I'll use this one first. This one is from Hobby King. Again, link below if you're interested. This actually is a really nice one. It's higher quality. The supply voltage is 4.8 to 6 volts, and you can choose this right now. This is in manual mode. So with this larger servo, still a tiny servo, but with it you can control it the 90 degrees. All right. Then you can. Okay, that's they call that neutral, but it sits in its center position. I don't know why it had trouble there, but anyway, it's got that mode too. Then you go back to manual mode, and then it's controllable here. This guy is the same way. This particular one, it ended up, in looking to get information for the video, I went to Banggood to where I had ordered it, purchased it from. It says that it's discontinued, out of stock, and they didn't have a replacement for it. Anyway, it was $250. This other guy, you can still get it from Hobby King. They are available, Amazon, other places. If I can find them before I post the video, I'll put links down below to wherever I've found them. This is the manufacturer. So anyway, this is a good one. And just an FYI, I have one that I built long ago. The advantage of mine, you can plug it into a 9-volt battery because it's just a little tester. But it hasn't been used for a long time and it's busted. So that's going to be a future video. We're going to take that design and we're going to move it forward. So let's try the real reason that we wanted to check this out. Do you see it moving? Hopefully you can see that okay. If I go into, there's the neutral. That's cool. I love teeny stuff like that. Okay, so there you go. That's the first one of our Friday finds. Woohoo! All right, next we have an LED assortment. I happened to see this. It just caught my eye. I was on eBay, and they have these for like, well, this one is $6.99, and there's 200 LEDs. So you've got the red, amber, blue, green, and I think white is this one at the end. So on these guys, I have this handy dandy little tester, and again, I'll put a link to this guy down below. I've had this forever. I'm not sure. This came from Newark, multi-comp brand, but it has Newark's phone number on it. So whenever I bought it, I got it from Newark. And the cool thing about it is it has all of these different current levels, and I believe they're all roughly 20 milliamps, but for fun here we'll just try some different ones. Now the other thing, typically on LEDs, hopefully you can see that okay, you've got one leg that's longer than the other one. The longest one is always the anode. So if we plug the anode into this box anode indicator and give it a try, bam, there you go. Not real bright. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. It's a good brightness. Put that on a front panel, that would be fine. Now if we wanted to play around here a little bit, we can go to 2 milliamps. You can see how much it changes there. Or we can go to 50. Bing, it doesn't, I don't know that it changes it all that much. So anyway, oh, and we have, this has 3 millimeter and 5 millimeter LEDs. So there's the teeny one, there's the 3 millimeter. I love blue. This is, hopefully it's white. Again, the anode is the long one, there you go. Those are pretty bright. My connector pins are a little bit wider than the LED, but you can see that's a bright one. And the 3 millimeter version of it, man, now I'm seeing stars from looking at that and how bright it is. Okay, that's the white, the green. I won't go through both sizes of each color. Wow, I'm still seeing stars from that. That one's just your typical brightness. The amber. Amber or orange, whatever you want to call it. I mean, when they're not lit, they look more like they're amber. And red. So, like I said, 200 pieces, $6.99. This was off of eBay, and I'll include the listing down below. Nice assortment to have. Makes it really easy when you've got to quickly put together something that has LEDs in it, and you want to have them on hand. $6.99. You can probably get it quite a bit cheaper than that, and I did see some assortments that have more quantity than that. So I'll put links down below if you're curious and you're wanting to see what else is out there. Check it out. Look around. Okay, this next one are switches. These guys are great. I love this. These came from PMD Way. And it is an assortment of 500 pieces. They call it the 500 piece mega button pack. You get it all in a Ziploc bag. They are all well packaged. This was $44.95. Now some people will say, holy cow, that's way too expensive. Well, if you're here, and this applies to a lot of all of these Friday finds. If you're working on a project on a Saturday night and you can't order something, I mean, even if it was a weekday, you're still gonna have to wait for it. But especially on a weekend, if you're in a bigger city, you may have an electronics store that you could maybe run to, but late at night, you're not going to have that access. You're just going to want stuff on hand. So, this thing is cool. I won't spend the time to take them all out of all of their individual bags, but you got a bag of larger ones, and then you got bags of the itty bitty teeny ones. And then you got a bag, more little bitty teeny ones, and there's a variety. Some of them are right angles, some of them are the tactile switches. The most common ones, and I've actually used this is a board that I designed. These are the common ones. We use this for a front panel switch control panel, where you then put an overlay over the top of it. And that makes it so that your overlay doesn't have to have a membrane switch in it. You save the expense of embedding a membrane switch in your overlay, and your switches then rest right underneath of that vinyl covering, and they move just enough that you can press the switches. So these are the real common ones. And then the assortment does have those in it, plus it has a whole bunch of others, obviously, and here they are. Hopefully you can see this okay. So that's, you get multiples of every one of those to end up with a total of 500. So you get 5 of each. A great assortment. You might think it's a little pricey, but for me, in my thinking, it only has to save me once to pay off of the $45. If I use one switch out of that thing on a project that I'm trying to get out the door, maybe I broke the last one that I had, or I just didn't have enough when I made my purchase for a particular project build or product build, prototype build. Having that to supplement is awesome. Now, one thing that's a frustration, and this is going to go, I'm seeing this a lot, and I don't have, I'd show you the sheet here. They do have, oh, here it is. And you can't see it, it's too darn small. But they have their listing of all of the things that are included in that kit. The problem is that if I design them into a particular project and then it turns into something that I want to make more of, I want to have manufacturer part number. I want to be able to find it somewhere. I'm having a hard time with a lot of these assortments that come from China correlating any kind of part numbers. And in future Friday finds, I have some others that are really irritating that I'll point out as we get there in the future. But it still doesn't diminish the usefulness of that particular assortment when you really need it. You just need a part. You just need to duplicate what's there. Then I can go off of that. We might get lucky and you can go back to PMDway and buy, you know, one particular one, buy 10 of them or something. I don't know. But you could also measure it, figure out the specs, and you could go to a distributor like DigiKey or Mauser, Newark, one of those, and you can find a switch that is whatever manufacturer. You can associate it with a part number, and then you can quickly swap it out. So it doesn't diminish the usefulness of the kit. It just makes it a little more of a challenge if you're actually going to go forward with one that you found that you like that's built into something and you want to buy more, then you're going to have to do a little bit of a scramble. Worst case, you just buy another kit. As long as you don't need more than 5. Okay, next. I found these. I don't know who originated them, but I love them. and it is the ATMEGA2560 from ATMEGA. This is the chip, this is the processor that goes into an Arduino Mega. Okay, 100-pin part, lots of I/O. The cool thing about this one is the Arduino Mega board, I believe it's 16 pins, I/O pins, are not brought out to the headers on the board. So I actually had a project, I was using this actual processor, and I was adding in some things to do a particular functionality with respect to the I/O pins, and I knew that there were pins available. I had no idea that the Arduino version that uses this processor doesn't bring those pins out. This one does. So that's an advantage to having this guy. One thing I was going to say is I don't know who originated this design. You know, there's clones, there's copies, and then there's the original that are open source. Arduino is a perfect example of how people have ripped off their design intentionally and gone against the open source, all of that kind of regulation and the rules of doing that. But then there's also clones where you make it so that it fits the form factor, you don't use the Arduino name, you put your own name on there, then I guess that's legitimate. But maybe it's the same form factor, it uses the same processor, but they're not using the same layout design. So they're changing it, they're using some original, they put their own name on there so that it's not a direct rip-off of an Arduino. Now, if you know more about this than I do, which obviously there's a lot of details with all of that, leave it down below in the comments. Be happy to have a discussion about that. But anyway, I don't know who to say originated the board. And they're calling it a Mega 2560 Pro, but there's no manufacturer name on it. I don't know who originated it. And you can get it a variety of places. I bought this particular one off of Amazon. This is a Songhe Mega 2560 Pro, and it was 12 for 5 units. Sorry, if you buy 5, it's $12.55, but one of these is $13.21, which is phenomenally cheap. Now I bought others. I bought a pack of, I believe it was 5, and I got them off of eBay, $9.45. Okay, and to give you some idea on the specs, if you're not real familiar with the ATMEGA2560, this guy, it's the operating voltage 5 volts. But it has a range. You can go from 6 volts to 9 volt as the input voltage, but you also, if you plug in the USB port, that's your power, just like with the Arduino Mega. Digital I/O pins, there's 69, of which 15 can provide a PWM output. There are 17 analog input pins. Output voltages on this board, there's 5 volt that's 800 milliamps rated, and 3.3 volt that's 800 milliamps rated. The current per pin, if you're running at 5 volt, 20 milliamp. If you're running at 3.3 volts, it's 50 milliamp. There's 256K of flash memory, and if you're using the bootloader, the Arduino, or just the bootloader for this particular processor, it'll use 8K of that 256K of flash. There's 8K of SRAM. There's 4K of EEPROM. It's clocked at 16 megahertz. It's 55 millimeters by 38 millimeters, which is an awesome size. I love that it's so small. I also love the fact that there's mounting holes. They did leave in, they didn't take out the mounting holes to shrink all of the size down. Now, I understand you get something really teeny, like this next one I'm going to show you, and the mounting holes just go away. But in this case, it makes it easier with them. Okay, so the next one is, now keep in mind, with Friday Finds, the whole idea here is to expose cool new stuff to all of you that you may not have seen before, but that you can use on your projects, your product development, your prototypes, your electronic engineering, your design, all of those kinds of things. So I'm not spending a huge amount of time. There's some of these things that are going to be used in projects and whatnot in the future that will be included in other videos, and there will be a lot more in-depth at that point. But for right now, I'm just trying to get the information to you so that you can see the things that are available. Now, all of these things are purchasable from others right now, but and there are others that are doing similar YouTube videos like this, but a lot of times they do just what their company sells. They don't do things that you can go pick up off of eBay or Amazon or whatever. I basically cover everything. If it's cool and it's electronic, it's a component, it's a device, whatever it is, or eval kits, whatever, we're going to showcase it here on Friday Finds. Everything is fair game. Now, are there products that I sell that I'm going to do in Friday Finds? Yes, there are. I have things in the works that are actually hardware and electronic designs, printed circuit boards, that kind of thing. They aren't ready yet, but as soon as those are available, not only will I do a Friday Find, a real brief overview like we're doing now, but I'll also then have a YouTube video that showcases whatever it's being used in, whatever project it was designed for. Okay, I was going to power this guy up. Hopefully you can see this. It's micro USB, and voila, it powers up, and it is running the Blink program. Okay, so that's that one. The second one is this. The Pro Micro. Now there's other versions of this. This one happens to be the Geek Creep, if I'm pronouncing that right. So you've got the board, you got the headers, and if you plug this guy in, which we'll do before I forget, you do get power, not set up with the blink, any kind of a blink. I'm not sure if it even has that LED because of the space. I would assume that it does. Anyway, it's the Leonardo version of an Arduino, and it has 32 KB of flash, 2.5 KB of static RAM, 1K of EEPROM. It's powered by 5 volts, runs at 16 megahertz, has 4 10-bit analog to digital converter pins and 12 digital I/O, 5 of which have PWM capability, and then the transmit and receive. I love it because of its size. Definitely and obviously fits into a large number of applications where you don't have much space. And if you've seen any of my earlier videos, and certainly videos that are coming up, like the Servo that I showed you a little bit ago, tiny is good. And especially micro motors, things that where you can make something move. Maybe it's a little robot arm or some kind of little robot. Tiny motors, tiny controller boards. I love those. We're going to do a lot more of that in the future. So that's the last thing that I have for today for our brand new Friday Finds. As I mentioned before, you can find links for all of the things that we talked about today down below. I'll put in extra links if I find others that are alternate sources, like if it's on eBay and Amazon and you get a bang it. I'll go ahead and put links to all of those things down below. And if there's something that you want me to cover, or something you have discovered that you think is really cool because it's tiny, it's unique, whatever with respect to electronic component, electronic system, eval board, tiny microcontroller boards like these guys, whatever the case, put it in the comments down below or shoot me a direct message, a direct email through the YouTube email. I would love feedback and would definitely want to showcase any new cool things coming up, assortments, all of those kinds of things. New LEDs, new connectors, any kind of electronic components. So hopefully that was helpful, and it's exciting. This is cool stuff. I love it, and we want to do a lot more of it. So hopefully you'll come back. I'm going to make this a regular thing. It's Friday Finds, which it's going to be on Friday, if at all possible. It may end up being on Saturday. I might even have to do it on a Monday. But I'm gonna try to hold to a schedule every week. We're gonna have our Friday Finds, and we're gonna look at some cool stuff every single time. So as always, let's go find some great ideas, make some awesome products. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.